Hi friends, today I'm going to share a quiche recipe with you. What is a quiche? A quiche is a pie with egg custard in it. You can have any number of fillings. The one I'm going to make today is called Quiche Lorraine. For that, let's start with the pie crust. Take 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour in a mixing bowl. Keep the bowl with the flour in the freezer for 30 minutes. Now take 1 stick or 8 tablespoons of butter. Cube the butter like this and stick this in the freezer with the flour for 30 minutes. In a glass, take 1 cup of water. Add 4 to 5 ice cubes and freeze this for 30 minutes too. The secret to a perfect pie crust lies in the temperature. Everything has to be cold, especially in places where the weather is hot. Otherwise, you will end up with an oily pie crust rather than a flaky one. After 30 minutes, take all the ingredients out. Add 1/4 teaspoon of salt to the flour and mix well. Add all the butter into the flour. Rub the butter into the flour like this. You have to do this until the flour resembles coarse crumbs. You can do this in a food processor too. Here the butter and flour has incorporated well and has formed coarse crumbs. Once that's done, add the ice cold water 1 tablespoon at a time until it forms a cohesive dough. To check if the dough is the right consistency, take a handful and press it together. If the ball breaks easily, that means the dough needs more water. Do not add too much water. You just want the dough to hold its shape without being wet. So make sure to add the water 1 tablespoon at a time. Do not knead the dough. Just bring the dough together until it forms a tight ball. Cover it with a cling wrap or a Ziploc bag and refrigerate it for 30 minutes. This is to make sure that the butter sets again. I flatten the dough into a disc before refrigerating it. This makes it easier to roll it out later on. After 30 minutes, roll the dough out into 1/8 inch thickness. Make sure to roll it out at least 2 inches wider than the pan you're using. Over here you can see chunks of butter all over the dough as you roll it out. That is the sign of a well-made crust. Make sure to patch the cracks. Keep moving the dough to prevent it from sticking to the surface. Roll the dough out over the pan and press the dough into the flutes of the pan. We have to blind bake the pie crust. Blind baking is par baking the crust beforehand, especially when you have a soggy filling. Otherwise, the crust would remain raw. Trim the excess dough and keep it aside. Collect the excess dough and refrigerate it for another day. This quantity makes 2 9-inch pie crusts. Prick the base of the pie crust using a fork. This prevents the crust from creating air pockets and rupturing. I forgot to film this, so I took a photo of it. This is what the pie crust should look like before baking. Put the pie crust back in the fridge for another 30 minutes. Meanwhile, preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius. Bake. Take a large parchment paper and sandwich it between the crust and the baking tin like this. Bake this pie crust for 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, take it out of the oven. Once the pie crust has cooled, slowly remove the baking sheet and the pan. Set the pie crust aside. Now the filling. Fry 5 strips of chopped bacon. Do not add more oil as bacon has a lot of fat in it. Once the bacon has fried and become crispy, remove it from the fat and set aside. Now slice 2 large onions and cook them in the bacon fat. Fry the onions until they are nice and caramelized. Take the onions out of the pan. Drain the excess fat out on a kitchen towel. Let this onion cool a little bit. Now the egg custard. In a bowl, take 6 eggs, 1/3 cup of heavy cream, half teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of Italian seasoning, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper powder, and 1/4 teaspoon of paprika powder, and whisk well. Now our egg filling is ready. Now let's assemble the pie. Spread 1/4 cup of cheese at the bottom of the pie crust. I have used Gruyere cheese. You can use Swiss cheese or any cheese that you like. Spread half of the bacon over the cheese. Then layer the caramelized onions over it. And then spread the other half of the fried bacon. Now sprinkle 1 tablespoon of Parmesan cheese over it, but this is completely optional. Add another layer of cheese. Now pour the prepared egg filling into the pie crust and bake it at 375 degrees Fahrenheit or 190 degrees Celsius for about 30 to 40 minutes until the egg sets and has a golden crust on top. You will know when the pie is ready. It smells aromatic and the pie will have a wonderful golden crust above it. Enjoy the delicious pie while it is still warm. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. Like, share and subscribe to the channel to see more content from us. Until next time, happy cooking.